Bad news about bacon. A study by a respected health agency revealed that eating processed meat every day may slightly increase your risk for colon cancer. What? No, you love bacon. This is too much to bear. So you see what others are saying because you don't want to believe the report. Thankfully, you spot a pro-bacon article from bringhomethebacon.com in the list. And look here, the National Bacon Board has a list of 10 reasons why bacon is a health food. Alright, that settles it. Bacon every morning it is. This little bacon scenario shows us how confirmation bias works. Confirmation bias happens when we prefer information that will confirm our existing opinions. Confirmation bias is especially noticeable when it comes to the kind of political commentary we pay attention to. For example, a study of Amazon purchases during the 2008 presidential campaign found that people who already supported Barack Obama bought books that portrayed him in a positive way, and people who already disliked him bought books that portrayed him in a negative way. We usually think it's a good thing to have a strong opinion and stick to it, but that can make us close-minded and miss the whole truth, which not only makes for weak arguments about politics, but also makes our prediction less accurate. Let's take a closer look. In the early weeks of GM Genius, we encourage you to avoid making predictions based on wild guesses and old preferences, and use specific information instead. Now, we want you to fine-tune the way you gather your information so you avoid confirmation bias. To see why this matters, consider this question. Which of these quarterbacks would you rather have in your lineup last season? Player A is coming off an inconsistent season and has been considering retirement. Here are his 2016 stats. He only had 8 games with more than 1 touchdown and had 3 games with 0 touchdowns. In almost a third of his games, he threw 2 or more interceptions, and he had his fewest passing yard total since 2012. Player B is a Super Bowl champion. In 2016, he had 3 or more touchdowns in half of his games, including one 5-touchdown game. The last 5 weeks of the season, he averaged 300 yards passing. His number 1 wide receiver has averaged over 1,600 yards and 12 touchdowns for the last 3 seasons. And he got these stats even though his second-best wide receiver was out the entire year. Player B seems like the obvious choice, but the truth is, the stats from both Player A and Player B belong to Ben Roethlisberger. Even if you looked at the full list of Roethlisberger's stats, if you started with the opinion that you don't like him just because the Steelers are a rival of your favorite team, you might focus on the stats that make him look like Player A because you're looking for reasons not to use him. On the other hand, if you bleed black and gold, you'd be more likely to focus on the stats that make him look like Player B. Also, keep in mind that if you find articles to support your opinion, they might not be telling the whole truth either. Plenty of journalists and bloggers cherry-pick the facts too, and one-sided articles are often just meant to stir up the trash talk. So to avoid confirmation bias in fantasy football, first identify your existing opinion about a player. Even if you have a big list of reasons why you feel this way, know that there may be more to the story. Then, ask yourself, what information would change my mind? And do some research on his stats to see if that kind of information actually exists. To take it further, when you're looking through a big list of stats, you can assign them to the appropriate columns of a pro-con chart. It can help you slow down so you consider information that doesn't align with your existing opinion. At the very least, make sure to identify whether your lineup and point predictions just represent the opinion you started with, or if they represent your unbiased consideration of all of the player's stats. Instead of making the facts fit the story you've already told yourself about a player, you can avoid confirmation bias when you try to look for the whole truth about them. So in fantasy football, and in life, remember to ask yourself, what information would change my mind?